How to develop your empathic skills. Empathic abilities are extremely important for social and emotional self-regulation. Fortunately, they can be learned and developed. Imagine you are having a conversation with someone important to you. Now try to answer 2 questions. Are you able to think like they think? Can you feel the emotions that they are experiencing as if they were your own? If the answer to these 2 questions is not a resounding yes, then this article will likely be extremely helpful to you. In fact, you may well need to develop your empathic skills. Broadly speaking, there are 2 types of empathy. First, there is cognitive empathy. It means putting yourself in the other person's place. For example, by answering questions such as what are they thinking? What will they decide? Second, there is the emotional empathy. It is about feeling the other person's feelings, e.g., happiness, fear, uncertainty, etc. Empathy has 2 components, a cognitive one that is closely related to the ability to abstract other people's mental processes, and an emotional one, which is the reaction to another person's emotional state. Lewis Moore Albile. Empathy. Throughout history, the concept of empathy has been the subject of heated debate. In fact, it has been defined in several ways. They range from feelings of sorrow or pity for the misery of others, Smith, 1757, to inner imitation that takes place through a projection of oneself onto another, Lips, 1986, to the ability to experience the emotional states of others in a vicarious way, Moore Albile, 2010. Empathy is clearly a complex construct, but one with an undeniable biological basis. For example, certain neurons play in certain brain areas, e.g. the premotor area, an important role in empathy. These are known as mirror neurons. Mirror neurons explain how we can access and understand the minds of others, and enable intersubjectivity, which prompts social behavior. Lewis Moore Albile. Empathy and health. Lack of empathy plays an important role in many clinical conditions. Among them are autism spectrum disorders and various personality disorders. Autism spectrum disorders. In autism, the brain circuits responsible for empathy show low reactivity in connection with tests such as reading stories where characteristics of a character's intentions or mental state are assessed. Indeed, it is known that one of the most prominent characteristics of autism spectrum disorders is a deficit in theory of mind. This is the ability to represent our thoughts and those of others. Personality disorders. In terms of personality disorders, it is worth mentioning schizoid personality disorder, Cluster A, as well as narcissistic, antisocial and borderline personality disorder, Cluster B. Clusters are the classifications included in diagnostic manuals. They are the characteristics that bring together certain personality disorders. For example, the personality disorders included under Cluster A are characterized by being strange and eccentric. On the other hand, individuals in Cluster B tend to possess dramatic personalities. How to develop your empathic skills. Development of empathy usually begins with training in social relationships. Below we explain some of the most common techniques that can help you develop your empathic skills. 1. Active listening to develop empathic skills. Active listening means that you understand what the other person is telling you and that you convey in your own words the message that the other person has communicated to you. Your ability to reformulate their message requires prior elaboration on your part. E.g., message, I feel really bad because my partner has left me and I feel bad. Paraphrasing, I understand that you are going through a difficult time in your life, and that you feel really empty because of your loss. There are two basic components to active listening: what the other person is transmitting and how he or she is feeling. Therefore, it is helpful to ask yourself two questions. What are they trying to tell you and how are they feeling? 2. Don't show prejudice if you want to improve your empathic skills. Prejudice is defined as a negative attitude towards an individual or a social group. It has three components. These are the cognitive, beliefs, the affective, feelings, and that behavioral, behavior that occurs as a result. Now that you know what prejudice is and what it implies in terms of developing empathic skills, the goal is to distance yourself from yourself to immerse yourself in the other person. Make sure to avoid thinking, feeling and acting based on how you would have acted yourself. Instead, focus on how they act and feel. Thinking about the other, free of our judgments, helps us to empathize. 3. Healthy guidelines. There are certain signs that tell the other person that you are listening to him or her, understand him or her, and validate his or her feelings. These signs include showing interest in what they are telling you and focusing on what they are expressing and not just what they are putting into words. In fact, you should try to capture the background of what they are saying, as well as the message itself, and the underlying emotions that make them feel that way. They may be feeling joy, fear, sadness, disappointment, etc. Give them time to tell you their story. Avoid squeezing them. Finally, if you want to put yourself in someone else's shoes and empathize with them, reflect on what they might be thinking and feeling, and experience their feelings as if they were your own. These are just some of the techniques that can help you develop your empathic skills. However, they are far from the only ones. In fact, you should seek specialized help if you believe you need to improve your empathic ability.